At the age of 19, our guest experienced a car accident that led to his death and subsequent resuscitation. And after spending a month in a coma, he woke up to learn about his extensive injuries, including a cracked cranium, broken spine, and multiple other fractures. So despite these challenges, he has transformed his life in remarkable ways. He became a motivational speaker, a radio personality for Radio 786, and an advocate for persons with disabilities. Diagnosed with a rare degenerative nerve disease, he even ventured into the comedy circuit. So now he's working on his first one-person show, REMO, which tells the true story of the day he died. We are honored and privileged to be joined by Mr. Rameez Cassiem. Assalamu alaikum and shukran for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for having me, and salam alaikum to all the listeners that's tuned in today. Hope everyone is well. It's a beautiful day, mashallah.
Mashallah, Rameez. Can you take us back into the day of your accident and just maybe share with the listeners what you remember about that experience?
Going back, it's blurry, to be honest with you, but I do know that being like any teenager, navigating your thoughts and your life. It made me just get into the wrong car, I suppose, and it was one of those things that was unforeseen, and led me to a coma.
What was that like, waking up from a coma and then learning about the extent of your injuries?
To be honest with you, it was cloudy. It was bright. Sound was deafening. I remember looking at my arm and seeing it in a cast. I remember seeing pipes running from my nostrils and my throat. So that's basically the only memory I do have of waking up from a coma.
Astaghfirullah. How did being wheelchair bound and obviously not being reliant perhaps on others change your perspective on life?
Prior to that happening, I was a very resilient guy, very out there. I did everything on my own. I challenged myself. I was independent. I didn't require anybody's assistance, per se,
right,
in whatever it is that I was doing. And then going from being that person to having things done for you, being wheeled around, coming from being completely active, growing up in Woodstock, I would climb the mountains.
Right.
And I could no longer do that. So it was a tough journey. But I had to learn how to ask for assistance, and I think that was the lesson, because we think we all strong and powerful until things like that occurs, and it kind of humbles you, in a sense, to a degree, and it was something that was extremely difficult for me at the time. I'm not going to lie about that. It was extremely difficult for me to see myself in that position. Being asked to help me get out of the wheelchair, or take me to this spot quickly, take me outside, pick me up, help me, bathe me. But with family and friends, there's always assistance. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And can just imagine it being that's a serious adjustment, and sometimes many of us just take these things for granted. What motivated you, Rameez, to enter the field of motivational speaking and public speaking?
So I've always been someone to speak up against injustice, even like on school, against bullies, against people that try to intimidate. So I always had that tenacity about me, and I've never shy away from speaking the truth or my truth. And alhamdulillah, we don't see it, but Allah Ta'ala uses us in certain ways and degrees to bring forward awareness, right? It was only after this ordeal that took place that someone heard my story, right? And even the doctors at the time were very, how can I say, they were very amazed about my mindset, about what happened to me. And even then they were like, you'll be a perfect candidate to speak about these type of ordeals, because when you look at things through a different lens, you get more perspective.
Right.
And upon that, like years later, someone heard my story and they kind of pushed me into the circuit, tried to also give me the freedom
Right.
to speak my truth and just have that courage to actually tell people, about it.
Sure, alhamdulillah, because it's inspiring as well, and it can also, I'm sure you have the courage to share your story, and it might help other people also and families in dealing with it in whichever ways, because I can imagine it's a transition, like from how do you prepare for it, Rameez, like if encountering something that's so unforeseen. But alhamdulillah, and shukran for what you're doing, because I can imagine it really motivates and inspires many people out there. Rameez, can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a radio personality for Radio 786?
It was, things happen for a reason. Your life's purpose will come to fruition when the time is right. And it was amazing. Zainabine called me in for an interview and interviewed me about my motivational speaking, because at this point I'm posting about it. I'm creating awareness about being a certified public speaker and motivational speaker.
Right.
Looking for work in that circuit, right? And then Zainabine contacted me, and she called me to the studio, and alhamdulillah, it really began from that interview, and how I landed this post, and alhamdulillah, it was an amazing journey, because not only did it open more about me and also what I can offer,
right?
But opened my eyes, my mind, my spirit. It just literally elevated me in a regard where how life just takes you on a journey, right? But you have to be prepared to take that journey. You got to travel in the unknown. You got to take those risks, and alhamdulillah, it just happened the way it did, and I got the slot, alhamdulillah. And I met beautiful people. I met people at the studio. I met all the staff. It was, you listen to them, but you never really see yourself sitting in the studio. So it was kind of a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
True, surreal.
Yeah, 100%. And but it was great, because I got to sit in and speak to plenty of different. I don't even know. It was something that just resonated with me. I got to speak to people, and I got to interview people and make listeners understand about a different perspective, and bring forward different types of perspectives and awareness, because that's what life's about. It's about making each other's lives better and easier by bringing an assistance in any shape, way or form, and being that it allowed me to not only increase that in my life, but also gave me the opportunity to do that for others. So yeah, man, it was a pretty pretty great experience being here.
Alhamdulillah. It's also the thing that I really get to enjoy. Like, I mean, you meet all kinds of people and also learn about their inspiring stories and share the inspiring stories with the listeners as well. And like today, I'm fortunate to meet you. You know, alhamdulillah.
You get to advocate.
Right.
You get the chance to advocate. You get a chance to look at people's lives through a different lens. Because sometimes we're cocooned.
Right.
And we always think that our problems are the worst problems. But when you bring different stories and different, how can I say, just life lessons,
right,
you would understand how small your problem is compared to the next person, because we don't know what we carry.
Of course.
Right, but we also too afraid to bring up what we carry, because we don't know if people can handle that.
Right.
But we should.
Yeah.
Right? It should be a normal thing.
Exactly.
For us to ask those questions so we can help one another.
Right.
Right? Opposed to thinking that we're better or thinking that we're worse.
Yes.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
But we only know that through conversation. And this is what this is.
Exactly.
This is what this provides. Right? Conversation.
Right.
Understanding. You get to feel that emotion. You get to feel that person. You get a sense. You go home, you reflect, you think about these things. And alhamdulillah, man, that's what we're here for. Everyone on this planet, it's made to make each other's lives better in one way, or one way and another.
100%. It also brings to mind something I heard from another comedian who also said, like, you would never ever want to drop your problems if you could picture people walking and throw, like there's problems lying on the floor, like an unknown, like, you know what, all my problems, I'm going to just drop it here. I'm going to leave it here on the side of the, but I'm going to pick up this problem.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is. You can't see, but I saw this guy dropped it.
Yeah.
You'd never want to exchange, because you never know what the next person is, just
carrying.
like you're saying, what they're carrying. And then, look at this question now, Rameez. How did your diagnosis of multifocal motor neuropathy with conduction blocks, MMNCB, impact your life and career?
You know what? So it was a number of tests. I went through a rigmarole of different types of tests, and alhamdulillah, for me, it was something that I don't think quite sunk in, but when it did, I understood what the role was, right? The funny thing about the diagnosis is that I was, not funny, but they would call me in,
right,
and I would just lay there for 2 hours.
Right.
And I'll have final year students try and figure out what's wrong with me.
Wow.
Right? Because it was such a complicated case. And this is how they passed. I was the final exam, basically.
Wow.
Right? And this is like a couple of years after my diagnosis. But I got to be involved in new doctors understanding my diagnosis. Because the diagnosis was only 20 years old at the time of me being diagnosed with this. Because I was one of the youngest that has ever been diagnosed with this, well, in Cape Town.
Right.
I don't know about the rest of the world, so I can't speak for that. But at the time, at Grootskier, I was the youngest patient to ever be diagnosed with multifocal motor neuropathy with conduction blocks.
Wow.
Because it was at 23. Started at 21, diagnosed at 23. And what this did for me was, it opened up a platform of discussion, with doctors. And I kind of made money Right, so there was an opportunity for me to become an entrepreneur.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
I was an entrepreneur, and what was great about this is they'd call me in, and they would be like, "Please, don't say anything. If they ask you questions, you are not allowed to answer them about your diagnosis. They have to figure this out," because it was similar to two other diagnoses, but you know what I mean, like the same type of characteristic.
Right.
And after that, you know, I was the person that they'd come and see for to pass out. And I would get paid like $350 for that 2 hours, man.
Wow.
You know, and I think it started there, the career path.
Right.
Because the doctors would also, one of the doctors was very invested in me, and he was like, "Listen, you have to speak about this diagnosis,
Right.
because it's so rare, it's so new. I want you to be that advocate,
right,
for MMN, CB,
Wow.
right? Let's take you to the August. Let's talk about. Let's go on radio stations. Let's have you join the August tour, where we campaign
Awesome.
this.
Okay.
So it all started.
Bringing awareness and
Yeah, it all started at that point where the doctor kind of gave me the insight of how big this really is,
right,
and how much this could help other people understand what it is that they're going through as well. Because even though you have it and I have it, we have two different criterias.
exactly,
So it's not going to hit you the same the way it does. We might have similar symptoms,
right,
but the actual overall punch,
right.
if I can say it like
yes,
that, it's harder,
Yeah,
or it's not the same. So mine might just be slightly different to yours, but we have the same diagnosis.
and then you in that position because you've seen these. They've like kind of been studying and they're researching. You know, speaking to you. So you also learning a lot about this. So you can also maybe relay that to people in the common tongue because nobody speaks doctors' languages. You know what I'm saying?
I was speaking the jargon.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what that means? That actually means your red blood cells are, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
so I had the tongue for the jargon.
wow.
And it was crazy because they always used to say, like, he knows this disease better than we do. Not only because I'm living it,
Of course.
right, but because I had to get in the mix
Right.
to understand what was really wrong with me and how it's going to affect me 20 years from now. Because 20 years ago I could still run, today I can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you coupled with your understanding of what's happening and also from what you've learned from these people who are also very learned scholars in whatever their field is, you're also sitting with a wealth of information, you know. Once again, that alhamdulillah you can, to people that might not have access to understanding, you know, or to guide them in the right way. Rameez, tell us, what inspired you to venture into the comedy circuit? How has your comedy helped you cope with the challenges?
You know what? You have to have the ability to can laugh at yourself, you know, from time to time. And life is too short, man. Life is way too short, you know, and it's a roller coaster.
Right.
Right, and like writing the show that I'm busy with now. Sorry, I don't know if I'm like, but I'm busy writing, and it's a roller coaster, and you gotta appreciate all of it. You gotta appreciate the lows, you gotta appreciate the highs, because they part and parcel. You know what I mean? So you can't only appreciate the good times. You gotta appreciate the low times as well, because it only strengthens your character.
Right.
It makes you appreciate those high moments even more, and it will hold you there a lot longer, because it's easy to fall into depression.
True.
It's easy just to be low all the time and not. It's easy to give up.
Right.
It's very easy to be negative. It's difficult to be positive every day, right? So comedy. I love to laugh, man. I love laughter. I love, you know, just telling jokes, or having that moment just to break free a little bit from the stress of the world, you know what I mean, and just
We're
laugh,
also uptight,
man.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every day, everyone's dealing with things.
So, Yasin Barnes posted on Facebook, and he was like, if you want to try and start comedy, if you've never done this before, come through, just send me a message. I'll book you for the open mic session. And this is 2017, right? And I did it. And there was a funny scenario happened to me. And even though I did it, I had no idea about what I'm going to speak about, right? I'm like, okay, so, because that's what I usually used to do.
Okay.
I would throw myself in the deep end and then learn to swim.
Wow. That's hectic. So you're standing there in front of all the people, but you don't have any prepared material, basically.
No.
Like,
I threw myself into the deep end not knowing what I'm going to speak about until, timing is always on my side.
And so, reading the room probably, or...
So I was after being diagnosed, after being diagnosed, I had to go learn what it's like to be a person with a disability. Okay. I wasn't born with a disability, so it's not a natural thing.
Yes.
So I had to learn the ins and outs,
yes,
the oohs and the ahs, the do's and the don'ts, about how you speak, about yourself being physically impaired, how you should teach people about coming to you, trying to assist you. Naturally, you want to help.
Yeah.
But there's just ways, you can't just pick me up because you don't know what my disability is. It's about educating. And I had to go and learn how to educate myself about all the different types of disabilities. And it was through CETA, and it was accreditation certification with regards to what I was doing. So I did public speaking, event management, to name a few. And so it was at Cape Town Society for the Blind, right in Woodstock, and this is where I had to do the course through. This is what they were offering, and so at the school they teach you about what it's like to be blind, how to deal with the blind, how to approach the blind, and how to offer your assistance. Because majority of these people, they never recover from finding the orientation.
Okay.
So they're always in a void. So they won't know their left from right. So you get taught how to navigate, being blind. And alhamdulillah, for me, that experience also opened my eyes to what it's like not only to be blind, but to live with disabilities that people do not understand. And at the time, I'm still learning about mine.
Right.
So, it's good. It was good. It's a good time for me to explore. And it just happened so that, I was taught how to deal with them, and you kind of need to steer them. And because those who can't see, we need to assist where we can, right? Okay. And I have 20/20 vision, and I needed to help them stay to the left, to grab the bar, to lead you to the class. There's braille on the wall, so they know exactly what class they're in, who's teaching this class. And it just happened that I was tripped by a blind guy, right? And that is the premise of my joke. So it was also about going forward and just speaking about my experience and having this happened to me, and I found it extremely funny, because who would have thought?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You would never picture yourself in that scenario, but it happened to me, and I needed to share that. And a friend of mine he prompted that as that joke, because when I told them about it, everybody was in stitches.
Of course.
And I was like, no, okay, cool. This is the one I'm gonna run with. I'm gonna run with this, you know.
No.
So that's how it started. 2017.
I know that you've been working on this your show. So can you share more about your one person show, REMO, and exactly what the audience can expect from it without giving away too much, you know?
You know, it's coming back to the roller coaster. It's about finding the gems in your life.
Right.
Right? It's about appreciating how far you've come. And it's about telling my story. It's about that roller coaster of going up, coming down, going back up. So that's what you're going to experience if you purchase a ticket, you know, on web ticket. And it's about just bringing clarity to, and also to the understanding of that it doesn't matter what you're going through, you know, what personal experience you're going through, you're going to come out on the other side, man. You're going to come out stronger. You have to believe that you're going to come out stronger. Even writing the show it's pretty emotional because I kind of have to relive different segments or different parts of my life, and it's just about bringing forward my life's purpose and just having to share that with the audience. And you know, because we don't know how we touch people, we don't know how we inspire people, and I'm hoping that this by doing this I get to do that. I get to make you understand and also realize you know, about the good qualities in your life, the good things that you have in your life. Yeah.
Right,
So it's just about being on that roller coaster.
When you said you know what, you know, we're gonna make it through onto the other side. We just got to believe, no matter what we're going through. In the beginning of the way you said that in such earnestness, I actually felt that, man. Like and I believed. I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna actually. Oh, so no, we're gonna be alright now. Like we. Cassiem, shukran. Tell me, how has your background in hip hop culture, breakdancing, and graffiti art influenced your creative work?
Oh my man, that is a pivotal point in my life. Eh? That I think this is where all of this comes from. You know, I've always been a creative.
Right.
Right. So, primary school, I'm busy putting together a comic book.
Okay.
Right. So I'm drawing the comic out. I'm putting the bubbles. I'm writing in the commentary. You know, it's two guys. They're friends, and they venture through life. Because at the time, I had this friend, and he was an exchange student.
Right.
Right. In primary school, he relocated. Actually, he relocated, and he met up with me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Connected.
the perfect match for this kid. You know, and you saw what I was doing, and he was like, "This is very cool. Can I be a part of, you know, helping you create this comic book?" And I was like, "Yeah." And and I think that is where I always loved drawing. I just drew anything that came to mind, and it grew from that into high school. It became different types of art. I painted, I did drama, and all because I loved movement. Right, and the sound that hip hop presented to me was just raw, and I felt that it was just something that I connected to. Right, and it grew from that, and I went into graffiti, and I learned the foundations about graffiti.
Right.
People think it's just putting your name on a wall, and you know, there's different types of graffiti, right? And this is a more constructive, foundational, you know, aspect of it. So you get the fundamentals, the understanding of how it grew, where it comes from. You get the history, and you understand the art form. Dancing, breakdancing, I just naturally had the tenacity to move
Right.
and just find if I could move differently.
Right.
So I always imagine how, and so it was always a part of my life, even though I didn't see it like that at the time. But when you sit back and you reflect and you go like, this actually helped me through my entire life. It guided me through, and I met people. I sat with big graffiti artists, sharing space, dancing with people like Black Noise,
Right.
getting to understand their movement, finding out that there's more to it. It's about healing,
Right.
right? It's about reflecting, but they use the medium. You'd use the medium to be conversational.
Of course.
In a regard, right? So you put up your artwork, you do your graffiti, you do your breakdancing. So it influenced my entire life. It helped me become an entrepreneur. I started making money from high school, creating bags and skirts
Okay.
with artwork on it. So
Awesome.
the hand sewn, it would be hand sewn by me.
Okay.
Cut up the patterns or do these things, and it led from that to opening up a studio, printing and CMT studio. From there, it led me to Cape Town Fashion Week, where my clothes is on the runway. Even before the accident, I was on my way to go and do a competition that would have allowed me to travel to Germany.
Right.
To go and compete on the world stage, just by doing what we love. So it really opened up a lot for me, and I don't know if I'm answering your question, because I'm so deeply in love with the art form,
Of course.
that it provided me it got me here.
Of course. And I mean, looking at your background, as you say, in the hip hop, breakdancing, and graffiti, it's also, like we said, it's conversational, and it's also means for exchanging stories. That's why people feel affinity to it. Like, people look at the pieces that people's putting up. Why does he choose this color scheme? Why is the guy doing his lettering like this and adding this?
It's emotion.
And it's just conveying that message. And similar probably with this body of work that you're creating now, and maybe putting in another way, telling a storytelling.
We're designing. It's like it's designing it in a different format.
Right. And then what message do you hope to convey through your show and your story, Rameez?
Don't give up. Don't give up. There's light at the end of the tunnel, right? As the saying goes. But I'm hoping that you see the light before the tunnel, because the tunnel is quite a long walk, to find the light at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that the show can do that. Bring light to people, make people understand that whatever they're going through, it's not the end. It's trying to open up the minds of people, trying to help them navigate their own adversity. It's just about opening up the hearts and the eyes and minds of people, and I'm hoping that people would love the show, because it's my body. It's part of my. It's my body of work. I'm sharing my vulnerability.
Of course. And it takes us a great deal of courage. I always mention this, to actually share aspects. That's what people don't understand about artists, is there's pieces of themselves, or sometimes great portions or chunks of themselves, that they've actually taken to share with the masses of people, to give them that, and putting yourself out there. It's not easy, because we all know everybody's, and keep everything inside. Like, even sometimes expressing ourselves honestly and truly. Bruce Lee said it's one of the most hardest things to do. Who can truly and honestly express themselves. And I think, through art, it's always the journey of getting to that point out, or as accurately as we can, honestly express ourselves,
Yeah.
That's why I commend the work that you're also doing.
Alhamdulillah. Shukran so much, man.
I'd just like to ask you 2 more questions because time is catching up. I still have so much more, Rameez. Maafas. I do hope we can do this again. Times
Inshallah,
and things like this.
Anytime, man.
Inshallah, I'd love to. I'd like to know what are your future goals and aspirations, both personally and professionally?
Tell my story. To travel the world, if possible, alhamdulillah, inshallah. To create awareness and just to keep on sharing my body of work and and just honor my family, man. My wife, my kids, they've been a great source. And I realized that I know we have 5 minutes to end of the show.
Yeah.
But I realized that I haven't said that my wife and my kid has been such a great support to me, and also she's seen my body go from bad and just like atrophy after atrophy, just like getting weaker and weaker. And she's my rock, and she's my hands, my right hand and my hands.
Right.
And my kid as well, he's 5 and he wants to help as much as he can, and is very independent. And sometimes he gets upset when I'm like, no, it's cool, daddy's got this. He's like, no, but I want to help.
Yeah.
Right. So they've been a very big part of staying sane.
Right.
In all of this as well, because you also have to take that into account and look at that and put perspective to it, because it's not really about you. It's about everybody around you. It's what you can do for everybody around you. So alhamdulillah, I've got a very solid foundation. And I did want to touch base, and then I realized that I didn't speak about that when you spoke about family. How has family and friends helped support me, and that's how. You know what I mean? It's about taking it head on and knowing that I'm not alone in this.
Of course.
Also has that guiding light. And not to take it for granted, to say, oh, no, because people behind me, I'm going to... No.
Of course.
You can't be slap.
Yeah.
You have
still got to keep pushing.
Be strong and keep pushing, right? Because at the end of the day, it's you, man. It's you against everything else. And only you are going to stop you. And only you can carry you. And only you can make sure that you get to the place that you need to be in your life. No one else can do that for you. I can give you all the words in the world.
Guidance, yeah, true.
But you need to choose that. And just looking at that, I choose to be better all the time. I choose to push forward and make things easier, not only for myself, but for the people around me as well.
Alhamdulillah. Lastly, before we go, is there a date when we can expect to check the one man show? Tell us where we can find it, how we can book it. Give us some details. Hit us with the info there.
This is such an amazing thing, right? So you can get it on web ticket. It's REMO, a true story about the day I died. That's the title.
Right.
And the tickets price are 110 Rand to I think 180 Rand. And it's happening from the 18th to the 22nd of February. Alhamdulillah, it's just for Ramadan. I would love to see you there, and inshallah, if you do purchases, come and tap me on the shoulder. Like, I listen to the show, alhamdulillah, on Radio 786. And I would love to answer questions if you have questions, and if you are going to purchase. Bismillah. It's been lovely just to have the friends and family support this venture.
Inshallah, alhamdulillah. Shukran so much, Rameez. That was awesome. Let me just rephrase that. That's web ticket, and the show is called REMO, the story of the day I died.
Yes, a true story about the day I died.
True story about the day I died, from the 18th to the 22nd of February.
At the Masambi Theatre, Baxter.
at the Masambe Theatre, Baxter. Tickets are 110
10
rand
rand to 180 rand.
to 180 rand. You can purchase that on web tickets.
Ticket.
Shukran so much for joining us. I hope inshallah we can have another conversation closer to the time maybe, or
I mean,
anytime
that'd be
soon. You
great.
know what I mean? Just to
That'd be
promote
great.
it. Shukran so much for joining us.